Talk a little bit about serve groups. I know Pastor Eric talked a little bit about serve groups probably last week. Did he touch on that? You get a chance to touch on that? Okay. All right. Any questions about small groups? Journey groups? Are we okay? Everybody catch it? Okay. Yes.
Is there a listing of the different groups that are going on?
Absolutely. Right now, all of our groups are listed on journeychurch.org. If you go under Connect, there's a tab that says Journey Groups. It's got all of the links to that, to each group leader. If you wanted to contact them, call them, find out what group is going on right now. I believe our groups will end. We do groups semestrally. Most of the time we do 3 semesters of groups unless a sports team or something kind of falls outside of that. That's really the only exception. We start them in February. We run February all the way up until Easter. Then we take about an 8-week break. Then we start them again in June. We run from June all the way through the end of July. We stop right before school. We get another 4 to 6 weeks off. And then we start again when school gets back around September. Around the 15th of September, we run that all the way up until Thanksgiving so that people have time to spend with their families. You know, journey groups, we realize that people have lives, that we want that to be structured not only around school schedules, but we also want it to be something that's scheduled around your family time. We believe family time is so important. If you don't have things right at the family, you can't have things right everywhere else. You got to have your home in order first. So we really do a good job of trying to schedule those to where you've got time with your families, you're not having to take off, to where, you know, there may be a little bit of a sacrifice here and there, but for the most part, we try to get it to where it's convenient for everyone to go, to participate, to be a part of these groups. We think it's super, super critical to your spiritual growth. I want to talk about serve teams real quick. We get this out of Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. It says, "For even I, the Son of Man, came here not to serve, to be served, but to serve others, and to give my life as a ransom for many." So here's Jesus. Jesus being our ultimate example about serving. We consider a serve team as a part of our journey groups. And as we talk about requirements for membership, and we talk about what we would like to see all of our members, those that are going through this class, to say, yes, I want to go deeper. Yes, this is who I want to be. I want to become a member here. I'm going to talk about, you know, what we would like to see as far as requirements are concerned. But our serve teams are ones like Serve in the Journey, which meets here every Tuesday morning. They meet from 10 to 11:30. They come, they prep up bulletins, they make all of those first-time guest packages that we give to all of our first-time guests that come here. They make sure that everything is stocked and ready to go as far as all of our coffees and everything like that. That would be considered a serve team. Our worship team is considered a serve team. They're here every Tuesday night. They meet for an hour and a half. They pray together. They worship together. They do all those things that we, you know, would like to see together. Our guest services is actually a part of a serve team. So if you're involved in those types of ministries, Journey Kids is also a serve team. So we consider those a part of an extension of our journey groups. It's just kind of in a different look. If anyone's gathering together and they're praying, and they're working or serving alongside of each other, they're sharing life experiences together, we consider that a journey group. They may not be listed on our journey group list there, but we consider that as a part of meeting the requirements for being a part of a journey group. Things you may that may need to happen to make church happen, it's as far as serve teams is concerned, it's the responsibility of the community of believers to share the load. How many guys believe that? How many moms in here want the husbands and the kids to share the load, right? That's the truth. I mean, everybody that I know of, it's important that, hey, many hands makes for light work, right? You know, when we went out yesterday, I mean, we probably had 35, 40 volunteers. Man, that makes it fun because everybody's out there, everybody's having a great time. It's not stressful. You know, people can go take breaks and go, you know, have a great time at the fall festival. Yet God is still being honored because there's people still serving, touching the lives of the people. That's all we ask at Journey, is that when you come and you say, yes, I want to be a deeper part of what's going on here, we just ask that you would connect in such a way that, we don't ask you to sell your lives out, but we do ask you to say, hey, I want to be a part to the point where I will help share some of the burden of reaching this community. That's really the bottom line. It's saying that I want to be a part of allowing God to use me to reach lost people in Clay County. That's really what it's all about. It's not about, hey, we got to have people here because this is the right thing to do. It's that, I shared this in our leadership meeting a couple of weeks ago that, every time someone is at the front door and they're shaking hands in guest services, and every time someone is on the worship team and they're worshiping and they're helping people engage into worship, and every time someone's back here as an usher or a greeter, whatever you may find yourself serving in, or in Journey Kids, you are a part of that salvation when God, God does all the work. Don't get me wrong. We don't get to share in that glory, but we get to share in that opportunity for someone to come hear the message of the gospel. So what happens is when we serve, it allows an environment for people to come that's safe, that's friendly, that people come into, where they're more receptive to the gospel. We're beginning to help, we're beginning to share all of our life with that person to where when they walk that aisle, you can be a part of that. It can be a part of something that you do. And it's not the teacher's responsibility, and it's not the worship team's responsibility. It's all of our responsibility to serve together to create an environment for God just to continue to pour His Spirit out and begin to see more lost people walk those aisles and come up to the front, surrendering their heart. That's what it's all about. And so we got to serve and share the load together to create this environment that Christ would come in and connect with them in a tangible way. It's impossible for 1, 2, or 10 people to care for all of these people's needs. We may only have 650 people attending on our weekend services, but that means there's 800 or 900 people that maybe would consider Journey Church their home. And there's absolutely no way you couldn't pay enough people to care for those type of people, could you? I mean, there's just no way. I think they said that you can effectively care for somewhere between 50 and 70 people, one person, and there's just no way that any pastoral team, who could afford that? Nobody. So what we count on you guys is to help cultivate that sharing with each other, that building up. I'm going to read a quote to you as we're closing out. I know we're almost done here. D.L. Moody. Anybody ever heard of him?
Yes.
Awesome man of God. He said this. He said, the world has yet to see what God can do through one man who is totally yielded to Him. And when we're talking about journey groups and serve teams, we're talking about just being totally yielded to God, saying, God, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what you're doing in this season of my life. I want to be a part of what God, you've given these leaders vision and hope and a plan to go out and reach people. What you're saying is I want to be a part of that. And what would God do with someone that is truly yielded to Him? That God would do great things. I want to share with you just real quick, just a little bit about our experiences. Ray and I, we pioneered the 2030s group that is here, now being sponsored and now being facilitated by people that have just kind of grown up in these groups. We've got 2 now that are going, and both of them are being facilitated by people that were attending the group. So that's the goal, is that as you begin to share your life in these life groups and these journey groups, that God would develop you as a leader. And if that's something that's placed on your heart, that we will equip you and release you to maybe start another journey group and to continue to multiply. See, if you look back to Acts chapter 2, it's all about multiplication. And God was using the disciples where they were breaking bread and fellowshipping and praying together. They were devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching. The Bible says that it added to their numbers daily. Daily. Those that were being saved. And we use these journey groups as an outreach also, that people may come from your neighborhoods, may come from your workplaces, may come from your schools, that they would come into a safe group. And that they would hear about the love of God, and they would see that the gospel is true and real and relevant in their life, and that they would become fully devoted followers of Jesus alongside of you, and then they can come in and be a part of the kingdom of God and helping develop that. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. I see lives change time and time again in my own personal experience, watching that, this person was on the very shallow end, but by the end of a group semester or by the end of the second semester, this person is on fire, loving Christ like never before, just walking with Him close hand in hand like never before. It happens. It happens. And that's the desire that we have for each of you today. So with that being said, here's some of the requirements that we ask of you, those that are considering membership and those that will be graduating next week. We ask that we have 3 semesters. We have 3 journey group semesters a year. We ask that you participate in 2 of 3 of those, meaning that 16 weeks roughly is what it would require. Some semesters are 12 weeks, some semesters are 6 to 8 weeks, but if you average it out and you miss 1 or 2, or you miss a group here or miss a group there because maybe you're traveling or whatever, then you're really dedicating, out of 52 weeks, you're really dedicating between 12 and 14 times that you will commit to meeting within the year. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get into the semester, sometimes it feels like a lot because most of us live crazy lives. But this is the commitment we ask of you. Why? Because real life change happens in the group setting. So it's not something that Pastor Eric and I wouldn't do. I mean, we're involved in groups throughout every semester. We're engaged in groups every semester, and we're not asking you to do anything that we're not willing to do.